let's cut with the chit chat because Dawn's going to get straight into this. Could a diastasis hernia be fixed using a muscle graft? A muscle graft? What's a muscle graft? So I've got a question about that. Well, I'll answer that question, then I'll do my one. Well, I don't know what a muscle graft is, Dawn. A muscle graft. Do you mean, what do you mean, muscle graft? So a diastasis hernia could be fixed. So just maybe perhaps I'll ignore the second part of the question. That's what I should. If I was a proper politician, I'd be just glossed over it. So a muscle, yes. Diastasis. So hold on a minute. Diastasis hernia. So basically, let's get this terminology. Let's get this clear. A person who needs a tummy tuck, it has usually had something that has stretched their tummy, and that something is usually either a child, as in been pregnant or multiple pregnancies, or being overweight, putting on weight and then losing weight. So that stretch, when you put on weight and lose weight or have a pregnancy, stretches everything, and the rectus muscles, the six-pack muscles, which are two muscles side by side, get stretched apart and don't really come back together properly and leave a weakness between those two muscles, which are normally at the front of your abdomen, your six-pack, like right at the front there. But if they've been stretched, they can be a bit stretched apart, and you can get a bulge between them. And that bulge is apparent if you lift your head and shoulders up off the bed, if you're lying flat on your back, or if you lift your legs up, straight leg raise, you can sometimes feel a bulge above your belly button. In that bit of abdomen, there's a bulge there, and that is known as diastasis of the recti muscles. So one is a rectus muscle and two is recti. So diastasis of the recti is that. Now, sometimes when you feel a bulge in the abdominal wall, you think it's a hernia. A hernia is, I don't know if you need to know this, I'm getting a bit technical, but anyway, a hernia is a defect in the abdominal wall. So instead of having a nice crisp abdominal wall, if you have a hole in that abdominal wall, which could be congenital, i.e. you could be born with it, usually inguinal down in your groin, or it could be acquired. You could have had surgery where they could have repaired, they could have cut through the abdominal wall and then stitched it together, and then it could have come apart or whatever. But for whatever reason, there's basically a defect or a hole in the abdominal wall, and you have abdominal contents poking through that hole, causing a hernia. So a strict hernia is a defect in the abdominal wall causing a bulge. It looks the same from the outside because it looks like a bulge, but a diastasis is not strictly speaking a hernia. Don't know if you needed to know all that information. So a diastasis looks like a hernia, but it's not a hernia because the abdominal wall is actually intact. It's just weak, causing a bulge. Anyway, so that's what diastasis is. So it's not uncommon for people having a tummy tuck, and it is an integral part of a tummy tuck, or of a full tummy tuck, not a mini, but of a full tummy tuck. Repairing that weakness is an integral part of the surgery, and what it involves is using some heavy sutures to bring those muscles together to repair the hernia. Not really repairing the hernia, but repair of the bulge, getting rid of the bulge, repairing the diastasis, or divarification is the other word. Get some fancy words in there. Divarification of the recti, or diastasis of the recti. It's the recti muscles are too far apart, and you bring them together. Part of oh God, I've got please comment and share down there. Sorry about that. Part of a integral part of a. Although please do comment and share. Where's it gone? There. Oh, there. All right, just don't forget, please comment and share. That's what we YouTubers do, okay? Although this is on Facebook, but still, still a video platform. So could a diastasis hernia be fixed? So could a diastasis of the recti? Yes, it could be fixed. Now, I don't know what you mean by muscle graft. Again, strictly speaking, a graft is moving tissue from one place to another place. So you can do a skin graft, you can do a corneal graft, you can do a fat graft. You tend not to do muscle grafts. I'm trying to think when you do a muscle graft. You might do a muscle flap. Well, anyway, where you take a bit of muscle with its blood supply and move it to somewhere else, but that's hardcore surgery, and I don't think it is a thing, personally. So I don't know what you mean by muscle graft. Would I But I'm just looking at my question. You can sometimes, if there is a big defect in the abdominal wall, you can use you would usually use a prosthetic, like a something off the shelf, something out of a packet to shore up the repair, like a patch, which would often be either, well, it could be nylon, could be a synthetic, or it could be a natural, like a dermal piece of tissue. Anyway, you could use something to patch it up, but you normally don't, which I think might be what you're talking about, a muscle graft. People use these dermal templates, these things that you can put over to shore it up. They're quite expensive. And then for a straightforward diastasis of the recti, you probably wouldn't need that. If it was a proper hernia, you might need that. Whew, oh God, sorry, the chat has kicked off. Wait a minute, get that shell cleared, sort it out. I think you may have saw anything else. If you're having, if you was having an abdominoplasty, considering you couldn't do it yourself, who would you recommend? What do you mean? If I was having a concern, why can't I do it myself? I can do it, Dawn. It's just I'm knocked down. You're talking about lawn. Do you want me to recommend someone else? But I do recommend people go close to home. So wherever you live, where do you live, Dawn? I can tell you if you live somewhere far away from me, but if you live next to me, I can't recommend anyone better. No, there's lots of good people. I'll tell you what I'd recommend, Dawn. Look for BARPS, BAAPS. Look for FRC, which is a British Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons. They've got a list of surgeons, and they're proper plastic surgeons there. There's quite a lot of people on the BARPS, in the BARPS, and you're probably all right. BAPRAS is the other one, BAPRAS. So and if you look for FRCS Plast after the name, those are basically take homes if you're looking for someone to do a tummy tuck. I'm still waiting for Carol Baskin. Yeah, that was on the Instagram, not on Instagram, that was on the TikTok, wasn't it? TikTok. Tic Tac. Look at that. What an amateur. I just call it Tic Tac. Oh dear. Oh man. Won't follow you back on Tic Tac neither. Talk. Oh, you're not going to follow me back. Oh God. You're getting into talk I don't know about. Taking a graft from your leg muscle as patches don't work. Dawn, this is new to me. I'm sorry. I'm out now. I'm going to declare myself out on this question. Taking a graft from your leg muscle to your abdomen. I'm out on that. Tess, we spoke last week. I changed my profile. I'm the one with 9 children. Yeah, but do I need muscle repair then? Does every tummy tuck have muscle repair? No, not every tummy tuck, Olivia. I would say a large number of them, but not every single one. But I wouldn't worry about it too much because it's just something we do as an integral part of it. No, I mean if you're female. So, Dawn, I'm not familiar with taking a muscle from your leg and putting it as a patch on your abdomen. That is not a technique I'm familiar with. And to be honest, I would look into it, Dawn. And I think you've got to be a bit careful if you've got someone who's doing it and they're like, I'm the only one doing it. Did I speak about this? I spoke about this someone, was it? I can't remember. But I'm the only one doing it. I'm, the only one in the world, blah, blah. You've got to think, well, why doesn't anyone else do it if it's so good? And it might be that it's a bit of a dubious thing to do. To be honest with you, Dawn, it sounds a bit dubious. I've got to be honest. Next week, it could be the next big thing. I will all be doing it, and I will eat my hat or eat my words. But at the moment, I'm not entirely convinced that taking a bit of muscle from your leg and putting it in your abdomen to repair, because to be honest, muscle is not a good thing to repair the abdominal wall with. The problem is not the muscle. The muscle's fine. Is the thick fascia, we call it, over the top of the muscle. So taking a piece of fascia, doing a fascial graft, maybe, but it's the firm, non-forgiving white covering over muscles, which is called fascia, which is how you repair hernias. So it wouldn't be muscle, but. Not sure, Dawn. I'm gonna just thanks anyway. Well, that's a bit of a sorry, Dawn. I'll let you down. Oh dear. I got a question. Oh God, I had it a minute ago. Here we go. I got a question on a similar vein, but but this one I might be able to answer. I had a C-section 3 months ago and also have a small hernia above my belly button. Would this be addressed with a tummy tuck? So, so the answer to that is yes, as long as it's a small hernia. So it's not uncommon. Sometimes we find them incidentally. You find a little, and again, this is a proper hernia, a little defect in the abdominal wall, usually around the belly button, a periumbilical hernia, little defect in the abdominal wall, and they're very easy just to stitch up, just to close, and then do the repair of the divarification of the recti over the top of it. So that is not uncommon to repair a small hernia. Now, if you've got a big hernia, then you've got to think, am I going to be able to stitch it together? Because if you're not able to stitch together, that's when you get into using meshes and these other things that you sort of patch on top. But certainly a small hernia could be addressed at the time of a tummy tuck. And as I say, sometimes incidentally, we just find one, and it's not a problem for it to repair a small one. Absolutely not. Deepika Desai, how do you decide if a hernia can be repaired by stitching together or needs mesh? Size. It's size. So if it's literally small ones, then they can be repaired. And most of the ones, / all of the ones that I can think of that you encounter can be repaired directly. You would only use mesh for a proper hernia, for a person who's got a hernia, which you would be able to diagnose clinically preoperatively, because we always assess your rectus muscles in the abdominal wall before we do a tummy tuck. So if you've got a hernia, then that will be a different kettle of fish, and that would be something that you would hope that we would be able to sort of notice preoperatively. And if it's even a smaller hernia, you might be able to repair directly, but certainly anything of any size, then you would think about using a mesh. But that's a good question, Deepika. That is a good question. So yeah, it's size basically. Nikki's in the house. If I had a mesh repair in 2007 to an umbilical hernia, would that affect having a tummy tuck with a muscle repair? No. It's all hernia talk. It's hernia talk today. That's all right. It's all right. No, it wouldn't. I mean, if you, someone asked something about this, was it last week? If you had like a big mesh there, then it might restrict your ability to get a good repair of that divarification, because it might splint the tissues a bit, that they don't come together very easily if there's a big, because a mesh basically gets populated with scar tissue. So you'd have a big block of scar, which would be how your hernia would be repaired, and it might make us make it more difficult for us to give you a good repair of your divarification. So it could still be done without affect having a tummy tuck. So it could still be done. I mean, it might, as I say, it might make it a bit more difficult for us to bring those muscles together. So yeah, it might affect it a bit, but you know, hopefully not drastically. Nikki, don't worry, I'm happy with it. Hernia talk, yeah, I'm mad for it. Hernia talk's interesting. My mum has a bad umbilical hernia. She had mesh, I believe. Looked like she'd had a tummy tuck as it was so flat. Well, there you go. Excellent. Bring it on. Yeah. Any hernia questions? Get them on. Get them on, you guys. Let's have it.